Alrighty, this is our next series, Silver Powder Keg, Ghost Week, Solar Demand, and the 2026 Squeeze. Good day. My name is Howard Martell, known as a home profit coach here in Hampton Roads, Virginia, where I have been an entrepreneur. I served this country as a U.S. Navy enlisted. I retired from that first career in 2012, and I have been a marketer ever since on a part-time basis with a full-time attitude, but I've also been an investor. I've been a wise stewarded investor. So, live one, Ghost Week. Why late December can reprice silver overnight. Our goal is to explain Ghost Week, low liquidity, and why this time is different. What is the biggest move in silver prices doesn't happen during normal trading, but when almost nobody is at the desk. Today we're talking about Ghost Week, the week between Christmas and New Year's, and why it kicks off a violent repricing in silver. Here are our key points. What is Ghost Week between the 26th of December and January 6th, roughly? Institutional desks on vacation. Market makers gone. Trading volume in precious metal drops by about 70% plus. Market return on skeleton crews, algorithm, thin order books. Why it matters for silver. Open interest. Number of contracts is still high, especially since March 2026 contracts. Physical market is tight. Industrial buyers couldn't fully roll or close their positions before leaving. That leaves 145,000 contracts, tens of billions of dollars hanging in the air. Ghost Week as a liquidity trap. When the big industrial orders hit a thin market, prices jump in gaps, not smooth steps. Each step becomes a new reference price for algorithms. This can, in return, a quiet holiday week into the start of the major repricing events. Here's my reflection question. Do you think most investors even know what happens to liquidity between Christmas and New Year's? Or are they just staring at charts that assume normal conditions? If you want to understand silver as more than just a chart and start positioning in real physical metals instead of paper promises, make sure you're following this whole series. And if you want a team that lives and breathes precious metals to talk this through with, you can check out kepm.com, your trusted metal source. And our second part, 7 years short, why silver can't be fixed with more mining. Goal is to show your structural supply deficit and why more mining isn't a quick fix. Most people think if silver gets expensive, they'll just mine more. That sounds logical, but in 2026, it's dead wrong. Let's talk about why silver's 7 year deficit is a structural break, not a blip. Key points: 7 year supply deficit. Silver has been in a deficit for 7 straight years. Cumulative shortfall 678 million ounces since 2018. Mine production basically flat 813 million ounces for 5 years. This is not tight for a quarter, it's a multi year hole. Mining can't really quickly. Most silver is a byproduct of copper, lead, and zinc. No big silver only mines ready to flip on. No mine timeline, 6.5 years from discovery to production. Even if higher prices show up today, no meaningful new supply for years. Why this is a structural break. Normal cycle, high prices, more production, supply catches up. Here, high prices can't bring fast supply. That is why the speaker calls it a structural break in supply chain that can't be fixed quickly. Here's a reflection question. If supply can't respond for 5 to 7 years, how do you think the market will balance the books in 2026 and beyond? Over the next few lives, you'll see why price becomes the only adjustable variable when supply and demand are locked. If that makes you think I should probably own some real silver before that repricing, start your education with precious metal specialists at kepm.com. And our live number 3, the solar demand bomb, why silver uses perfectly inelastic. My goal is to explain inelastic industrial demand, especially solar plus EV. Imagine a commodity so essential that even if the price doubles or triples, manufacturers cannot use less of it. That's silver in 2026. Today, we're looking at the solar demand bomb and why silver industrial demand is called perfectly inelastic. Key points. Solar is a monster buyer. Current solar consumption, 200 million ounces a year, shift from PERC to TOPCOM cells. TOPCOM equals more efficient, but uses 50% more silver per panel. Projections by 2030, solar alone could use 450 million ounces a year, more than half of the current global production. EVs and other industries, each EV has 1 to 2 ounces of silver. 14 million EVs, 14 to 28 million ounces extra demand. Medical, electronic, 5G, etc., military. USGS labeled silver a critical mineral. Industrial importance, concentrated supply in unstable regions. Why demand is perfectly inelastic. Manufacturers cannot cut silver content without killing efficiency and functionality. They cannot substitute copper, aluminum, or gold at scale. Copper and aluminum not conductive enough or not suitable for high efficiency. Gold way too expensive and rare. Conclusion, consumption isn't optional. Industrial buyers must purchase regardless of price. Here's another question. Do you think most chart traders are factoring in a world where solar alone can swallow half the global silver production by 2030? Here's my call to action. If demand is locked in and supply can't move, you can see why owning physical silver before the rest of the world wakes up is not crazy. It's math. To talk you through how metals fit into your plan, you can connect with kepm.com. Ghost Week plus algorithms, how silver can gap up while everyone's asleep. I'm going to show how Ghost Week plus the net shorts plus augs and feedback loop squeeze it. What happens when industrial buyers must buy? In a market with almost no sellers managed by robots, that's silver set up during Ghost Week. And it's why we can see price gaps, not just gentle moves. Key point, commercials are heavily short. Commercial traders, banks, market makers hold. Largest net short in 18 months as of mid December. These shorts are managed by algorithms, not humans on holidays. The squeeze mechanism, industrial buyers are forced into thin future markets, spot plus physical premiums on unhinged 12 to 18% versus normal 2 to 4%. In a thin market, one big order, 5+% jump to the next willing seller. Each price jump triggers stop losses on commercial shorts, forcing buying more jumps. This is a feedback loop like nickel in 2022. Gaps become new price. If a desperate industrial buyer pays way up to avoid shutting down production, that trade prints becomes new reference price. Algorithms adjust from $72 to $75 to $80, not a straight line, but in air pockets. And my question, do you think unusual support and resistant lines on a chart are going to matter how much liquidity is gone and algorithms are firing stop losses? If you don't want to be the last one trying to buy paper silver into a squeeze, start building a position in real metals while markets are still pretending this is normal. For guidance on doing so, I want to tell you that this is responsibility to check out kepm.com, kepm.com. Live 5. Binary outcome. Why silver either reprices or breaks the system. Tie everything together. Explain the binary nature and what to do. The way this is set up, silver doesn't have 50 gentle outcomes. It has two. Either the price goes way up or the production line stops. Let's close this series by talking about silver's binary outcome and how to position yourself. Binary reality. To fix this, the market needs either more supply, impossible quickly in 6.5 years of development time, or less demand by industrial demand, inelastic and critical. So, two real outcomes. Price stays down, industrial buyers can't get metals, production disruption. Price gap up until margin supplies appear or some industrial demand finally breaks. Next 60 days, quarter one pressure. January 1st is quarter one. Solar ramps up. Auto production restarts. Industrial quarter one buys windows hit. All of this collides with a 7-year deficit. Ghost weak liquidity, lopsided shorts. While this isn't a normal chart story, this is a commodity market microstructure. Physical storage, structural deficit, inelastic demand, algo algorithm managed shorts, thin holiday liquidity. Technical analysis alone doesn't capture this. Here's my question for you. If silver is truly a structural deficit with a critical inelastic demand, where do you want to be when the rest of the world finally prices that in? If what we've talked about in this series makes sense to you, your next step is not to panic trade, it's to position wisely. Be a steward of what God has provided to you, what God has provided you. Hold some physical metals outside the system. Understand that this is a multi-year structural story, not just a holiday trade. If you want to talk with people who specialize in helping normal investors move from paper to real money, real metals, go to kepm.com. If you found this helpful, hit like, subscribe, follow, and share this with someone who's still looking at silver like a boring metal instead of a critical and inelastic, structurally undersupplied asset. Now, this was a powerful series. I know it was only like 9 minutes, but I'm telling you, this series here is definitely going to help you because when you invest in kingdom business, and I'm going to read this to you, right? This is an analogy of what we're talking about, right? The parable of the sower. And began he to teach by the sea, and a great multitude was gathered to him, so that he got into the boat and sat in it on the sea, and the whole multitude was on the land facing the sea. Then he taught them many things by parables, and said to them in teaching, Listen, behold, a sower went on to sow. And it happened, he sowed, that some seed fell by the wayside, and the birds on the air came and devoured it. Some fell on stony ground where it did not have much earth. Immediately it sprang up, because it had no depth of earth. But when the sun was up with it, scorched, and because it had no root, it withered away. And some seed fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew and choked it, and yielded no crop. But other seed fell on good ground and yielded a crop that sprung up, increased, and produced, some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100. That's silver. And he said to them, Who he has ears to hear, let him hear the purpose of the parable. But when he was alone, those around him with the 12 asked him about the parable. And he said to him, To you it has been given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God. But to those who are outside, all things come in parables, so that seeing they may see and not perceive, and hearing they may hear and not understand, lest they should return and their sins be forgiven to them. The parable of the sower explained. And he said to them, Do you understand this parable? And how then will you understand all the parables? The sower sows the word, and these are the ones by the wayside where the word is sown. And when they hear, Satan comes immediately and takes away the word that was sown in their hearts. These likewise are the ones sown on stony grounds, who, when they hear the word, immediately receive it with gladness, and they have no root in themselves, and so endure only for a time. Afterwards, when tribulation or persecution arises for the word's sake, immediately they stumble. Now, these are the ones sown among thorns. They are the ones who hear the word, and the cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches and the desires for other things entering in a choked world, and it becomes unfruitful. But these are the ones sown on good ground, those who hear the word, accept it, and bear fruit, some 30-fold, some 60, some 100. That is the parable of the sower. So why don't you sow into your family's legacy and create a generational wealth by going and checking out, and I'll share with you real quick who I've been using. You go here, you go to kpm.com, okay? kpm.com. Kurt Elliott Precious Metals. Kurt Elliott Precious Metals operates out of Denver, Colorado, serves clients over all 50 states. So if you're in the 50 states, now I think they also have servicing overseas too. Get in your position and silver now. I'm telling you, people, it is a good investment to get into right now. Protect your wealth, be a steward, and be just like the parable of the seed that I just read to you. Take care. God bless. And may I hope this message, please share this message out to people in the world. They need to understand what is going on in the marketplace and take back territory. Take care. God bless.